Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Live Trading here. Jeffrey Nance with you today, filling in for David Verbruggen. We're going to head straight on over to the charts since that is the main thing we are trying to do today. So if you guys have any ticker symbols you want us to consider, go ahead and drop those over there for me, and I will try to switch back and forth and look at those. In the meantime, let's talk a little bit about the market tone. Just here within the last 15 minutes, the market went from down 14 to basically being up about 9 points. So the market is very, very, very difficult to really get a grasp on it this time. On the one hand, if they were willing to let this thing go, then we could see it dropping back down into the 42.20 range, or get a sense of whether or not there's any validity to this parallel line. So we feel pretty good about that resistance. Thought we might get a shot at it on Tuesday this week, where we might see it continue to climb up Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then really test out that line in the 44.50 area. So we thought, but that didn't ever materialize. Instead, at yesterday, it dropped pretty significantly. So you thought, okay, well, now if we get another follow-up down day today, then we'll be making a pretty good move down here, possibly down into the 42.20 range again, which has been a very, very clear support here somewhat recently. But we didn't get that either. So it's making things tougher than it should be. So we just kind of have to deal with that the way that it is, but it doesn't make it any less any less frustrating. All right, so I've got several ticker symbols here, so let's go look at those. EPAC, EPAC. Yeah, and if you guys don't mind, if you'll give me a little sense of what you did. Okay, so EPAC earnings, a massive response to earnings to the upside. It doesn't say what the estimates were, but they made 42 cents. So it normally helps to kind of compare that. But at this point, guys, it's pretty straightforward. This is just a flag. And unless the market tone just really crushes this trade, then you're looking for a move back up to $30. So if the 5-day of support looks like it's pivoting today, I would think that you're probably going to need some positive market tone. Certainly it would help. But EPAC is certainly a bullish looking trade here. If you had played it, down yesterday, today is your day to get out. You had a chance to see if it was going to drop further, but it seems to be content to go back up again. So you want to consider exiting that. If you're in it for a bullish trade, then you hop in, and then you want to see it stay above the 5-day. 10-day would be the absolute lowest you would let it go. All right, ULBI. Yeah. Okay. So they have earnings the 26th. So you don't have a lot of time left on this one. That's a week from today, but that's fine. Depending on what you're wanting to do, you still got a little bit of time here. Earnings, if you're probably doing this as a straight stock trade. If you were doing it as an options trade, I'd have a little bit more of an issue with it. But if you're doing it as a straight stock trade, the spreads don't get manipulated around earnings on the stock price like they do on the actual option prices. So, yeah, you know what? You're coming right up off the 20-day here. If you feel like the market's going to, swing back around and go up tomorrow, then you're at a great buy point here, and your target is around 1130, 1140, something like that. So that's a pretty strong buy. I'd say you're 2 for 2 there on those. So METC. Yeah. Wow. You're crushing the flags. That's pretty amazing. All right. So you are all over the flags here. And yeah, so what you want to see on this one is you want to see it drop a little bit further and then start to make that pivot. And when it starts to make that pivot, you're ready to go in there and buy. But man, you're crushing these ticker symbols there, Joshua. Let's see, PCTI, PCTI. Now this one looks a little different. We see that it gapped way up, and then it's just gone flat. So normally that means that some company is trying to buy them out at this price, and you're not going to be able to do much with it. Now they do have an earnings, but it's a couple of weeks away. I do suspect though, when we come over here and we look for some news, institutional investors, biggest bettors, and were rewarded after last week's 36 million market cap gain, to be acquired by Amphenol Corporation. See, so there's your buyout. So they are planning on getting bought out at certain price, probably around that $7 mark. By this company, and that increased their stock 67 to 687. So that's a nice little early Christmas present for those folks, but not much you would want to do with it at this point. ALKT. Yeah, this one's probably already made its move. It's a bit messier, probably going to get up here to the recent highs, it would look like, but you're already way too far gone here. See, today's low 1739. We've already moved up basically $1. So that was just too late. But again, really strong, solid move there. Lots of good ticker symbols there, Joshua. Well done. All right, Jose's wondering about Moderna. mRNA. Yeah, struggling. And so still below all the EMAs, Jose. Dropping today still. You kind of wonder if it'll start to pull back up or not. But definitely moving down today. The S&P's up almost 20 points now. It's just a wild roller coaster, weird market here for the last 2 weeks, really. At least a few weeks ago, it was at least like staying between EMAs. Now it's just going up and below, and yeah, so it's a little wild out there. So I don't know that I want to go bearish, but maybe we do. But yeah, normally we'd look at something like Moderna and be like, hey, that's a really good opportunity for a put. And if the market would commit to dropping down, then you would probably like the looks of mRNA. I mean, it's coming down off the 5-day here, so it has the potential to be good, but you're probably going to need, some positive market tone. And for whatever reason, we haven't really been able to get that, which is, kind of weird there. So I don't really know why that's going on. Let's see, TDW. Yeah, this is pretty strong. So let's see here. What was the question on TDW? Should I take profit now or 74.50? Okay, all right, 74.50. No, yeah. So yeah, you're willing to hold this. The turnaround has been a big deal for you. E. That's all I see. It says E. So this turnaround has been good, and you're willing to hold this thing out now for a couple of reasons. One, you're above all the EMAs, so that's a sign of strength. You got it coming up off the 50-day, basically. You're looking at your previous highs. Now, I'm not sure about 74.50, 72.50, maybe 74.50. In order to get to 74.50, you'd have to be thinking, something like this, where you're kind of up here doing that. And you may have that expectation, right, if we increase this to the high side there. But 74.50 is probably pretty high. I don't even know the trajectory of that line would take us to 74.50. It may take you higher, so I'm not real sure. I think you look at around 72.80, kind of see what's happening there. You can see it was the high yesterday. You can see it's the high back here as well. So anytime you get around that area, 72.80, 72.95, you want to see if the professionals are willing to still be buying. What's market tone like? Should I be holding this thing? Or, you know what, if they're willing to go ahead and get out, even if temporarily, maybe I want to go ahead and take profits here. So this may be one where your target's a little high, maybe not, but I think in order to hit your target, the market would have to break through the 50-day. Like the market's going to have to be decisively positive for this stock to get up to the 74 range. But 72, 73, maybe you're probably willing to see what happens there. At least at yesterday's high, you'd like to see what happens there. So, with the turn in the market, I think you'd be willing to wait on that a little bit longer to see if anything emerges there. All right. Yeah. I mean, it was just a matter of time, right? Somebody's going to ask about Tesla. So Tesla had an earnings report today or yesterday. I think it was yesterday after hours, actually. And, one of the things that we tell you to do is don't be into an earnings report because you have no idea what's going to happen. And what's crazy about this is you can see that the expectation was that they'd make 64 cents. Well, they actually made 66. So they beat the expectations. And yet their stock is down almost 9% today. So earnings reports are really, really tricky. It's just best to avoid them unless you're just in a long-term buy and hold position where you don't really, think that the earnings report is going to matter because you're going to hold it for years and years and years. You're going to be through, 4 of these every year kind of thing. But if you're in Tesla now, what you need to do is say, okay, well, now that it's gapped down, is it going to get down here to that low? So will it drop again tomorrow? Will it get around, 213? If it gets around 213, are they going to kind of, forget about, air quotes, forget about, the earnings report today and really move forward, which is saying, we just think at 212, this is a good enough buy point for it to maybe come back up. What you do have to be aware of is now you've got EMAs on top. So EMAs on top are resistance. So don't be surprised to see it go up, hit the EMAs and drop unless it's just so strong that it can just push those weights right off of it. So, but that's Tesla today. That's the response to an earnings report. All right, in a put with AMD. Okay, all right. So AMD looked like it was poised to go up. And then it dropped below the EMAs on Tuesday. Then it dropped further yesterday. And then today it's recovering today. So the key to this one is whether or not it closes above the EMAs, because if it does, I think it's going to climb again. So in order for you to do a put, you'd want to see this thing be negative. But you can see that it's green today. And, if the market tone continues to move up, which who knows at this point. The key to AMD is closing. Where's it close? Right. So we had a wick above the EMA. So it was showing a lot of strength at some point today. Now it's dipped down back below that. So they're not really sure they want to go all in on buying, but they're also not sure they want to be selling either. They're at least leaning into buying. So you want to be really careful about a put on AMD since it seems like they're willing to be buyers right now. Yeah, Jose. So you were looking at the Moderna for a put. And I think that's fine. I think you just got to wait and see what's going to happen now with the market kind of doing some strange things. SPX undecided. Yeah, for sure. It is kind of all over the place, but we're still looking for a close below the lowest low and then a confirmation move the next day, or a close above the highest high and then a move the next day. Because at this point, we're just kind of stuck in this roller coaster, right? Just up, down, up, down, up, down, up, up, down, down, up, down, so it's not the, best time ever to trade. It's kind of a pretty frustrating time to trade unless you're a day trader, in which case this is pretty amazing time for those guys to be trading. But, as a whole, for most of us here at Tradeway, it's not just amazing trading right now. Let's see. ACMR. Let's go check that out. ACMR. Oof. Yeah, that's a big move down today. 6.5%. Yowzers. Earnings was August, so September, October, November. So that's still probably a couple of weeks away. But oof, man, 6.5%. Like that's a big move down. So at this point, you really, you closed. It looks like they're going to close below the 20-day. Well, that's a big deal. So now the question is, okay, we close below the 20 days. They're going to get all the way to the 50-day. If it does, you can buy at the 50-day anticipating a move up. And if it breaks below the 50-day, that stock's got a ton of weakness. But today's move down is pretty sizable after it looked like it was going to climb. So, I mean, it did climb Tuesday, big day Tuesday, right? Wednesday kind of held, and then today they're like, all right, let's go ahead and take profits. So kind of a frustrating day if you were already in the play. If you're not in this trade, I don't think you want to go get in it today for sure. Let it see if it'll drop down here the 50-day, and then maybe you can consider getting in at the 50-day if it starts to pivot there. This Powell speaks sometime over the next few days. I think he's supposed to do something. We can always go over here to finance.yahoo. Now, if you guys are reading our market alerts, of course, we're gonna give you the updates. They always have that stuff lined up there for you, but this is a pretty good resource. Powell says inflation still too high, warns of more hikes. Okay, well, mortgage rates edged closer to 8%. Yowzers, So we've got some really conflicting stuff. So stocks tick up as yields continue to surge. Well, I promise you guys, they could write the exact opposite and just start the sentence right here. So stocks dip as yields continue to surge because that's normally what happens. So that's silly. That's a silly headline. Inflation's still too high. It is. We all know that. The Fed recognizes that. So the only thing they can do is try to raise rates. So why in the world did the market pivot? It's up 18 points now. So we were down this morning. Why is it up 18 points? That's a pretty big shift. So what's going on? What did they hear that made them think that this was a good thing? It's not, right? Not for the economy, not for the stock market. Raising rates would tend to bring lower prices in the stock market. So that's a really weird thing going on there. Really kind of strange to see that. That's kind of a weird deal. All right. So let's see if there were any other questions here. Let me make sure I get to those. Is this being recorded? Yeah, we post it up. It comes to our website. If you're a member of our website, tradeway.com, you have an active account with us. It'll show up there, and I think it's under blogs or something like that. So you can go and find this there if you missed the live version of it. All right. Well, very good, guys. Well, that is our Thursday edition of live trading. Those of you guys that have access to our 2 o'clock session, we'll be teaching that here in just about another hour and a half or so. We'll see if much has changed. Obviously, the market shifted right as we went live here. So that's kind of crazy to see that happening. The market's still in a weird spot, still very, very, very difficult to read and feel good about, having any clarity on what it's doing from one day to the next. So be very careful with your trades. Remember, there's always trading opportunities. There's always opportunities to make money, but being in the right trades at the right time is the key, obviously. And there will be some times when that's a little bit easier to see than right now. So if you're out there trading, cool. Stop out if you have to. Stay in the trades if you can, but make sure you're reading the market as best you can and then responding accordingly, and that you're not creating bad habits in a difficult market. Well, thanks for being on with us today. We'll see you guys next time.